Hello there and welcome to Abe's Music School. I'm Abe and today I'm going to talk a little bit about bass lines. But first, we have our first subscribers. The very first subscriber is DJ Datavirus. And the second subscriber, Christer Dahlberg. Kudos to you both. If this channel ever gets famous, you will be forever inscribed, remembered, acknowledged as the first subscribers. A simple song in A minor, which went in A minor chord, C major chord, and G major chord, and then back to A minor. So this song is from the console game Days Gone. It's called The Soldier's Eyes, and it's a very good game. I think it's the best game I played in 2025. I didn't play the original, I only played the remaster. But before starting to play a song, let's rehearse the notes. Remember the white keys on the piano? I'm calling it the white tones or white notes. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then it starts over with A. So if you play the notes and say the names out loud, you will learn better because you will activate both the voice and the hands. So it makes it easier to remember. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And if you want, you can go to the B too, and then back. B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, and continue down on the E string, G, F, E. And repeat this a couple of times. Every time you pick up the bass, before you start to play, repeat this to really learn the notes. And in episode 6, we also went through the same notes, starting at position 5. This pattern on the neck, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, E, one octave, and then continue down, D, C, B, A. It's a little bit harder here on fret 5, right? So you have to practice a little more. But once you have learned it, look, you know all the notes down here, all the way up to here. That's a pretty large portion of the neck, right? And for the bass line, you can play only the root note. Let's try that. We're going to add the fifth. The next one, if you want to add one more instead of the root, it's the fifth is for the A, for the C, for the G, and for the A. And one octave down for the fifth. So you could play or, which I think sounds better. But down here for the G, you don't have another string. Well, if you had a 5-string bass, you could continue here. But instead you can move up one octave for the root. And now you have a string below. Let's try that. One octave up. Now I started on this instead of this. One octave up instead of this. If you don't have anything else to vary with, you can always vary with an octave. For the A, I didn't use the third at all. I just used. And for the C, I used. And here comes the third. third to move to the next chord. And for the G, or, and then the third to move to the next chord, back to A. Let's do that bass line. With mostly the root note and the fifth, and then the third to move between chords. This is great. This is really great playing the third. But moving on from just playing the root, fifth and third, you can play other notes in the scale that goes between the chords. So for instance, between A minor and C, you have a B here, you can play that B. So now I play the B, only because that's in between the chords. And when moving from C to G, well, I could go down, but then I have to adjust the rhythm. Yeah, that would work. It's almost walking bass, right? Here's the A. What did I do there? I played between this. This is a G, that's a white note, and here is an A, that's a white note, but I played a note in between. Why did I play that in between? Because it's moving between one to the next. You can even play notes when you're moving like this that are not in the scale, like this. One more time. And you can do that for the other chords too. For instance, when moving from C up to G, you can play, this is in the scale, this is in the scale. Okay. But there's yet another note here that's not in the scale. You can play that too, like this. And that's called the chromatic walk. I just play all the frets, moving from one chord to the next. So I started with the C here, then I started from the third, and just played all the notes up to the next chord here, the G. And it sounds good. So let's try it to the music. So mix root, fifth, third, chromatic walks, walks in the scale. You can also use walks down, even though that's not so popular in rock music. But in jazz music you can do even more crazy stuff, like coming from above and moving down. Like that. Well, you can play that in rock too. I mean, it doesn't sound too crazy. Alright, that was all for today. Now, remember to practice, and see you next time.